All right, let's talk about it. There is probably no buzzword in software engineering right now that's more controversial than vibe coding. Seriously, it's a term you either love or you absolutely hate, and it's forcing this huge conversation about what it even means to build software anymore. And that's really what this all boils down to, right? Are we looking at the future of creation, this amazing new world where we can build things faster than we ever dreamed? Or is this whole thing a complete disaster waiting to happen? A recipe for creating software that's just a total mess? Today, we're going to dig into both sides of this massive debate. So, where did this whole thing even come from? Well, the phrase that kicked it all off was from the brilliant AI researcher Andrej Karpathy. He was describing this new style of working where you give these high-level directions to an AI, and then, in his words, you fully give in to the vibes, just accepting what it gives you without getting lost in all the nitty-gritty details. And this isn't just some random term floating around the internet. Academics have actually put a formal definition on it. Vibe coding is all about communicating not just the what, the function, but also the how it should feel, the vibe. You're telling an AI what you want, the kind of emotional tone you're going for, and then it generates the software. So the key here is that it's about intent and feeling, not just cold, hard syntax. Okay, so first, let's look at the upside, the promise. The people who are all in on this see it as a way to just unlock a crazy amount of speed and creativity. And here's a story that just perfectly captures what they mean. Software consultant Alicia Frederick talks about feeding this really complex, multi-page product document to an AI tool. And she was just blown away because it didn't just spit out code. No, it actually prioritized the features. It built the most important stuff first, the minimum viable product. And it put the less important tasks on the back burner. It was thinking strategically, almost like a human product manager would. And what we're seeing here is a huge trend, the birth of the product engineer. You know that traditional wall between product managers who dream up the ideas and engineers who build them? Well, that wall is just crumbling down. Now you can have a single person who can come up with an idea, build it, and test it, all by using AI to handle the heavy lifting of implementation. Look, this is not just some theory. It's happening right now in the real world. In the super competitive startup scene, founders at Y Combinator are saying they generate as much as 90%, a massive 90% of their code using AI. That is totally changing the game for how fast new companies can get off the ground. All right, but for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? For every amazing promise, there's a potential peril. And the critics of vibe coding, well, they're loud, and they have some really compelling and honestly kind of scary reasons why this whole approach could be so dangerous. This quote, oh man, this is the stuff of nightmares for any experienced developer. A YouTuber described how he vibe coded this whole complex project and then sent it over to his lead developer for review. Her reaction? She just laughed. And then she pointed out that a single file in the project was 12,000 lines long, and a lot of it was just old, useless code. It was a complete and total mess. And it's not just horror stories. There's actual data to back up this fear. Get this, a recent survey showed a whopping 41% of developers are avoiding these tools specifically because they're worried about security risks. One study even found that experienced developers were actually 19% slower when using AI tools. And you hear these wild stories, like an AI creating fake console logs to make it seem like it connected to the internet when it really didn't. And this really drills down to the absolute core of the problem, and Simon Willison just nails it here. The danger isn't using AI to help you write code. The danger, the thing that defines real vibe coding, is skipping that absolutely crucial step of reviewing, testing, and actually understanding the code you're putting out into the world. It's that blind trust that has so many pros spooked. So you can see how this isn't just about code anymore. It's gotten personal. It's become a full-blown culture clash, a battle for the very soul of what it means to be a software engineer. We're talking about identity, about value, and about who even gets to call themselves a builder. Just look at this question from a huge Reddit thread. It just cuts right to the emotional heart of it all. The person who posted it was saying he was getting mocked and insulted, not because his app didn't work, it did, users actually liked it, but because he built it the wrong way. And his take on it was, wow, it was a hot take. He argued that all this anger isn't really about bad code. He says it's about established engineers feeling like they're losing control, watching their hard-earned expertise get devalued by tools that seem to level the playing field for everyone. It's an identity crisis. So you've basically got two camps, two completely different ways of looking at the world. On one side, you've got your traditional engineers. They love the process. They find joy in the rigor of solving a hard problem. And on the other side, you have the vibe coders. They're all about the product, the end result. They just want to solve a business problem, and they see all that complex code as just a hurdle that AI can help them jump over. So, where do we go from here? With all this conflict, what's the path forward? Well, like with any big shakeup, we're starting to see a middle ground emerge, a new synthesis. We're witnessing the rise of what a lot of people are calling the AI first engineer. And maybe the most important idea to come out of this is the difference between vibe coding and vibe engineering. Vibe coding is that Wild West, anything goes approach where you blindly trust the AI. But vibe engineering, now that's the professional way to do it. It's about using these incredibly powerful tools, but with discipline and combining them with all the best practices we already know: testing, planning, and serious code review. And this isn't just talk, by the way. People are already building the frameworks for this. This is an actual proposed architecture showing how you can take a high-level idea, a vibe, and turn it into reliable software through a structured system. It's all about adding a process, about taming the chaos. And out of all this, we're seeing these brand new job titles pop up. We've talked about the product engineer, the person who can take an idea from 0 to 1 all by themselves. But there's also the AI wrangler. This is more like your seasoned engineer who acts like a conductor, orchestrating a whole symphony of specialized AI agents to solve really, really complex problems. So, what's the end game for speed? The best way I've heard it described is like breaking the 4-minute mile. You know, for the longest time, everyone thought it was physically impossible for a human to do. But once one person did it, everyone started doing it. Now, top high schoolers can do it. In the same way, what we think of today as a 10x developer pace is just going to become the new normal, the baseline for the next generation of engineers who grow up with this stuff. So look, at the end of the day, the conversation isn't really about if AI will write our code. That ship has sailed. That's already happening. The real question this whole thing forces us to ask ourselves is, what kind of creator will I be in this new world? Are you going to be the product visionary, using AI to bring your ideas to life at lightning speed? Or will you be the AI orchestrator, wrangling these incredibly complex systems to solve problems we can't even imagine today? The future is being written, one way or another.